If I was to ask you, what's your favorite hymn of the church during the Lenten period, I'm sure there would be different ones. My favorite, and you can tell because I preach upon the hymns of the church, I love the hymns of the church, is the one, the Anastasimo, the first one, that was written, they say, either by St. John of Damascus, who wrote the funeral service, or St. Cassiani, the one who wrote the Tropadio des Cassianis. And there's a debate as to who wrote this hymn, my favorite. Fotizu, inea Ierusalim, igardox akiriu episea netile, ore venin ke agaru Sion, si terputheo toke dieyer sisu. Beautiful hymn of the church. And there's one line in there that I like the best. Let me read it to you in English. You'll hear it in a little while. It says, be illumined, O New Jerusalem, for the glory of the Lord has arisen over you. Dance now for joy. That's the line I like. Hore venin. Dance now, nin, for joy, O Zion, and exalt, and you shall be merry, you shall be happy. O pure Theotokos, why? At the resurrection of the one you bore, your child. Beautiful hymn. Anastasimo, which means we move now from being sad to being happy. We move from the purple to the white and the red. You saw me wearing the red this morning. Harmolipi, all the way to joy in the church. And we should be happy and joyful now that we are ready to celebrate the resurrection of Christ. So in that light, allow me to share a funny story with you that connects to my sermon. Because again, we need to be happy in the church, and I love to see you smile. The story is about a Baptist who moved into an all-Catholic neighborhood. So the Baptist was there, the people were very happy that he was there, until Lent started. And Lent started, the Catholics, they don't eat meat on Friday, and all of a sudden, they're smelling steak. Where is the steak coming from? The men go outside on their porches, and they go to the house of the man, the Baptist, and he's cooking on the grill, beautiful steak on Friday. They go home, and they can't take it. They close the doors, they close the windows. Oh my God, the temptation is too great. This goes on Friday after Friday after Friday of Great Lent. Holy Week comes, Megali, Paraskevi, Holy Friday, again, a steak, and they can smell it, they can't stand it. And the men get together, the Catholic men, they go and visit him and they say, please, we know you're Baptist, but would you consider becoming a Catholic? So he says, well, how do I do that? He says, well, we'll go to the church and we'll talk to the priest. So they go to the church, the Baptist goes to the church, and the priest says, very easy, we sprinkle you with water, you will be baptized, and you are no longer a Baptist. Really? He says, well, let's do it. So he comes in, the priest comes, he says, you were born a Baptist, you lived a Baptist, you are now a Catholic. Wonderful. They go home, the year is spectacular, Holy Week comes, the men say, now we're not going to worry about a thing. They go outside and they smell steak burning again. They go to the home of their friend and they say, maybe you don't understand. They wanted to tell him, that you can't have a steak. But as they go to his backyard, they see him and he's cooking his steak. He has some water there and they're hearing him and he's saying, you were born a cow, you lived a cow, but you are now a fish. Glad you like it. But I want you to see the connection here. How do we change is the question. Do we change just because we didn't eat meat for 40 days, or because we came to church and we received communion once or twice, we received the Evangelion service, we had some palms, maybe we came to confession? Is that the thing that changes us, the work that we do? Just a sprinkling of a little bit of orthodoxy and all of a sudden I am now a changed person, a resurrected person? Is that it? Or is there something more? I want to suggest to you that the way we change is through dancing. In the church, the theology of the church, when we talk about the Trinity, Yeh Trias, we say, what is the relationship between the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit? How do they relate? How can you have three different persons, but one God? How? And the Greek mind came up with a term. It's a theological term that is used by scholars to this day, all the way from the 4th century. And the word is perichoresis. Perichoresis. Perichorevo, to dance in a circle. And whenever you see the Holy Trinity, usually like you see the hospitality of Abraham, you see the angels around the table, you always see three of them, and they're connected, but they're not in a circle. They're open. And so the church says that the Holy Trinity is expressed through dance, spiritual dance. The Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit are constantly dancing, eternally. And they're always opening up their hand and saying, come, join me in my dance. This is the reason why we have in the church the dance at the wedding. When the couple comes and we go around the table, Isaiah Choreve. Why Chorevo? Because the Holy Trinity Choreve. Everything we do in the church is a dance, is an expression of joy in which we reach out our hands and we grab somebody else and we say, Elate Mazim. And if we think historically and theologically and spiritually, the hands that we hold today in our dance goes all the way back to the beginning. Greek Orthodox after Greek Orthodox, Christian after Christian, year after year, generation after generation, holding hands from our children to our grandparents, to their great-grandparents, all the way down to the apostles. Perichoresis, the dance. Have you ever been at an ordination of a priest? The same thing. He comes, they bring him into the altar, the bishop sits by the altar, small chair there, and then other priests, always other priests, take him, one on either side, and they dance like a Kalyamatiano or a Zamiko around the table. And as they're going around, they're chanting songs, they're chanting hymns. And what are the hymns? The hymns of the wedding service, but in reverse. So when we say Isaiah Choreve, that's the last hymn of the ordination of the priest. And if it's an ordination of the bishop, the same thing. The bishop comes, two other bishops grab him, one on the right, one on the left, and again they go around the table dancing. Perichoresis. This is the tradition of our church. And this ultimately is the icona of the resurrection. You're going to come up here somewhere along the line tonight, and you will see here the resurrection of Christ, and you see what he's doing. He's coming out of hell, he's coming out of Hades, same thing over here, and what is he doing? He's reaching out. He's grabbing the hand. We have to grab his hand. And by grabbing his hand, he takes us out. And person after person after person goes around and we dance, and we enter into the perichoresis of the Holy Trinity. Beautiful theology. Beautiful theology, if we understand. So now when you sing the song, and that I sang at the very beginning, Fotizu, Fotizu, Inea Jerusalem, Chore venin ke galo Sion. That's what we're talking about. But the question is, here's the question. Do we hold on to his hand, and do we hold hands with one another? That's the question. We are all together tonight. We were all together last night. There are people outside, I'm sure probably maybe even more outside than here. Are we holding hands? Do we want to hold hands? Do we realize what it means to hold hands? Or do we grab on for a little bit, and then we say, you know, enough. You know the Greek dance, I love it, when they come with the mandili, and they wave it. What are they doing when they say that? Somebody come. and someone comes. And it's interesting that the leader can sometimes become the person in the back. And someone in the middle, he can become, or she can become the leader. Isn't that beautiful? That no one is the leader of the church except Jesus Christ. That's the beauty of the Greek Orthodox Church, is that in our paradosis, who we are and how we pray is the same thing. We dance in our life because we realize the joy in being one with the Holy Trinity. Our theology is our life. But we have to hold hands, my friends. We can't just come to church once in a while at Christmas, at Pascha. You know, Nathume, I remember with my parents, and then not hold hands. We must. We must. You know the program, very popular, Dancing with the Stars. I don't like it, my wife loves it. But I understand the concept. You take someone who really knows what they're doing, a dance pro, you find some star who, you know, somebody knows them. Sometimes it's a football player or a basketball player. They don't even know what they're doing. But when they're connected with the pro, as time goes on, before you know it, they begin to learn the steps. They begin to become more graceful. They begin to dance better, and sometimes they actually win. Isn't that the same with the church? It all depends whose hand we're holding. Is it someone who knows what they're doing? Or someone who's falling? Someone who wants to express their egoismo as opposed to being a servant? Remember Jonestown? Remember that man who was telling them 1,000 people to drink this Kool-Aid? 1,000 people died because they were holding the wrong hand. Over 300 children died because their parents forced them to drink whatever this man, Jim Jones, was telling them to drink. It always makes a difference who's leading the dance. And we come at Anastasia at Easter time to grab his hand, and to be pulled out of the tafos, to be pulled out of death, to be pulled out of our bad habits, so that we can express joy and enjoy the resurrection of Jesus Christ. The aroma is not the steak on the grill for us as Greek Orthodox. It's not the lamb, it's not the margheritza, it's not the tsureki, it's not the eggs, it's not all those beautiful things. Don't get me wrong, I love them. You love them. It's not the retzina, it's not the uzo, it's not all of that. Ultimately, it's the dance. When we dance as a group, as a family, as a community, as a parish, holding hands, coming out of underneath the epitafio, and now going out and saying, Christos Anesti, and we're going to say, Alithos o Kyrios. When we say that, hold hands, tight, and don't let go, because είμαστε οικογένεια as Orthodoxy. If we are not οικογένεια, then we're just a bunch of people that gather every once in a while in a building that we call the Annunciation, but we really don't care about it. If you care about it, then you're going to hold tight and not let go. Let me end, and then we will turn the lights off, and you will receive we will pass the trays. Yes, of course, I know. They're reminding me. We will pass the trays, and then you will hear Def Lav and Defos, and we'll go outside. But let me end with this powerful image. There were two boys who grew up in a neighborhood, and they were very close, almost like brothers. Two different families. They went to school together, they grew up together, they ate in each other's home. From what I understand, they went to school in the same university. And then they were called, this is a true story by the way, they were called to be soldiers in Vietnam. And so these two boys, like brothers, they friends, went and they fought in the jungles. And in one instant, they were fighting, almost the entire battalion was getting killed. They were running out with their captain. They came out of the jungle. You can only imagine the butchery that was taking place. And one of the friends looked back to see where his other friend was, and he couldn't see him. He waited and he waited, looking at the jungle, nobody. He looked at the captain and he says, I want to go, have you seen my friend? I don't know what his name was. He says, no, I haven't seen him. He says, I think he's dead. He says, I have to go and see back into, no, you can't go there. If you go, you will die yourself. You cannot go. No, I must. No, I command you as your captain, you cannot go. This friend went in anyway. He went into the jungle. They waited for him, they waited for him, they waited for him, and finally they saw him coming out of the jungle, and in his arms was the lifeless body of his friend. And he was carrying him out. The other soldiers came to help him. The captain went over and says, didn't I tell you he was dead? Why did you go in there? He says, no, he says, you were wrong. He was not dead. When I got there, he was still alive. And when I reached down and he saw my face, my friend said to me, he says, he looked up at me as he was dying, and he says, I knew you would come. And then he said he closed his eyes and he died in my arms, my friend. That is a friend. To know, to go into the jungle, to go and to find individuals hurting, and to carry them out, and to bring them to life, even if they ultimately die, to show our love, our faithfulness, our courage that I spoke about last night, our Andrea as Christians. This is the icon of the resurrection. Jesus Christ went into that jungle. He went there and he carried us out. He carried Adam and Eve out of death, stench, Lazarus, all the individuals throughout the generations. He has carried us out. And he reaches out his hand and he says, take it. We all know brothers and sisters and friends that are still out in the jungle. We know who they are. It's up to us, my friends, to go there and to find them and to carry them back to the church and help them come to their senses, or sometimes just to help them because they don't realize the love the church has to offer them and the joy that they can experience. How do we change? We don't change by sprinkling. We change by our heart, and we change by grabbing onto the hand of Christ and dancing the resurrection. Kali Anastasi to all of you. I hope that you have a beautiful, beautiful evening. I hope that you remain for the liturgy, and then you remain for our Margheritza. Tomorrow afternoon we have the Agape service, and immediately after the Agape service, as I understand, we have a Glendi, a picnic. So those of you who would like to come, please make it a point so that we can all be together. And I guarantee you, if we dance tomorrow, I will be dancing and my wife will be as well. Kali Anastasi.